Let me paint you a picture. It is 1997. You are a tired parent. You sit your 4-year-old down in front of the TV, you pour yourself a coffee, and you think, finally, 5 minutes of peace. The show starts. The music is soft. The colors are warm. A little bald kid appears on screen. How bad could it be? Within 30 seconds, he is whining. Within a minute, he has ignored his mother, woken up his baby sister, and decided to trash the kitchen making cookies he has absolutely no business attempting. By the end of the episode, he has thrown a full tantrum, refused to eat his vegetables, and somehow gotten 2 fully grown adults to completely surrender to his every demand. You put down your coffee. You look at your child. Your child is watching this show with wide, fascinated eyes. And somewhere in the back of your brain, a small alarm goes off. That alarm was correct. Welcome to the most hated children's cartoon in television history. Today we are going to talk about why everybody hates Caillou, why this show has its own dedicated hate subreddit with tens of thousands of members, why 11 episodes got completely banned, and why the people who created this disaster were somehow actual child developmental psychologists. Yes, that part is real. We will get to it. Grab a snack. This is going to be a ride. Who is this kid? Alright, so let's start with the basics. Caillou is a 4-year-old boy living in Canada with his parents, his baby sister Rosie, a cat, a dog, and 2 grandparents who, for reasons I cannot explain, absolutely adore him. The name Caillou is French for pebble or stone. I looked that up. Fitting, because his bald little head genuinely looks like something you would find on a riverbed. The character started as a series of children's books in 1989, sold over 15 million copies worldwide. Then it became a cartoon, first in Canada, then on PBS in the United States, where it ran for years and reached millions of kids. Publications like the Los Angeles Times and Entertainment Weekly called it, and I am quoting here, situationally realistic. I want whoever wrote that to sit down and watch episode 1 with me. We will discuss. Now on paper, this sounds harmless. A cartoon about a little kid dealing with everyday situations, learning about feelings, growing up, classic kids TV stuff. The problem is that the kid at the center of this show is, and I say this with complete sincerity, one of the worst human beings ever put on television. And I am including reality TV. Episode 1. And the problem is immediately obvious. You want to know how bad this show is? The very first scene of the very first episode is Caillou whining. Not at the end. Not after some build-up. Scene 1. We open on a child who is already whining. His baby sister Rosie is sleeping. His mom asks him to keep it down. Caillou hears this, processes it, and completely ignores it. Then he decides he wants cookies, wanders into the kitchen, makes an absolute mess, fails at baking, and starts crying about it. No lesson, no consequence, no moment where anyone says, hey, maybe do not do that. The episode just moves on like this is all completely normal behavior from a completely normal child. This is the show's entire blueprint, and they lay it out in the first 4 minutes. Caillou does something terrible. The adults around him either ignore it, enable it, or apologize to him for it. Credits roll. See you next episode. Congratulations, you now understand every single episode of Caillou. You are welcome. The parents deserve their own segment. Here's the thing that took me a while to fully appreciate. Caillou is not actually the villain of this show. Caillou is 4. He is doing exactly what a 4-year-old does when nobody has ever told him no and meant it. The real villains are his parents, and they are absolutely breathtaking in their failure. Episode 16. Caillou's old shirt, one he has completely outgrown, gets passed down to baby sister Rosie. Caillou sees this and erupts. Crying, whining, the full production. His mother very patiently explains that the shirt does not fit him anymore. Caillou does not care about facts. What does mom do? She takes the shirt off Rosie, gives it back to Caillou. The shirt then goes onto a stuffed teddy bear because Caillou cannot actually wear it. It is 2 sizes too small, but at least the tantrum stopped. And then, just when you think it cannot get any worse, his mother apologizes to him for not asking his permission before giving away a shirt. That did not fit him. I had to pause the video. I needed a moment. Episode 3. Grandpa shows up to take Caillou to the park. His parents have one rule: eat your vegetables first. Caillou refuses and demands cookies instead. His parents warn him, no vegetables, no park. Grandpa arrives, and both parents just look at each other and let him go. 0 vegetables consumed, 0 consequences delivered. Caillou walks out the front door and actually turns around to taunt them about it. To their faces, and they smile. These 2 people are raising a tiny supervillain, and they are smiling about it. I do not believe in bringing back old-school parenting tactics, but watching this show will make you understand why the concept existed in the first place. The banned episodes, because of course there are banned episodes. Here's a fun fact: the show never put in the marketing materials. Caillou has 11 episodes that were pulled from syndication entirely, removed, gone. And honestly, after watching them, the only real mystery is how they got greenlit at all. Episode 8. Caillou throws a tantrum so loud it wakes up his baby sister. Dad comes in to handle it. Instead of any actual parenting, he offers Caillou toast. Caillou refuses the toast. Dad gets distracted, burns the toast. Caillou laughs in his father's face. Not a little giggle. Laughs. In his face. The man who feeds and houses him. Laughing. Episode 17. Mom falls asleep on the porch while watching Caillou. Caillou sees this as an opportunity and runs away from home alone. He gets scared by a dog and a bird, which, same. Eventually, a complete stranger approaches him and offers him food. Caillou accepts the food from the stranger. The stranger walks him home. Mom wakes up, seems mildly surprised, and that is the end of the episode. The lesson for children: if your mom falls asleep, explore the world. Accept food from strangers. Everything will probably be fine. This show was created by child developmental psychologists. I keep coming back to that. People with actual degrees and actual training looked at these scripts and said, yes, this is what we want children to learn. I need someone to explain that to me because I genuinely cannot work it out. Episode 57 is probably the greatest piece of unintentional chaos in children's television history. Rosie just wants to play with her big brother. That is the whole episode. She just wants to play. Caillou responds by yelling at her, physically pushing her out of his room and kicking her out. When Mom comes to check on things, Caillou tells her to go away too. Mom asks if he made Rosie cry. Caillou looks her dead in the eye and lies. The episode ends with Caillou getting bored by himself and deciding he wants to play with Rosie now. So they play. Everyone is happy. End credits. The lesson: scream at your sibling, kick them out, lie to your parents about it, and when you feel like it on your own schedule, everything goes back to normal with zero discussion. Outstanding content for small children. Why did this show even exist? Here is where it gets actually interesting. Because as ridiculous as all of this is, Caillou was not made by idiots or people who wanted to create a monster. The show was built around a real philosophy that was genuinely popular in child development in the 1990s. The idea was to stop using the word no so much, to validate children's feelings in every situation, and to treat bad behavior as emotional expression rather than something to correct. Noble intention, catastrophic execution. When you take that philosophy and push it to its absolute limit, you do not get a well-adjusted, emotionally intelligent child. You get Caillou. You get a kid who has genuinely never experienced a boundary that held, who has no framework for the idea that other people's needs exist, who has only one tool in the toolbox, which is screaming until the world bends to his will, because it always has. And here's the part that really gets parents. They watched their actual children absorb this. They saw the show. They saw their kid identify with Caillou, and then they saw their kid try the same moves at dinner, at the grocery store, at bedtime. A non-trivial number of parents will tell you this show had a measurable effect on their household, and they are still not over it. That is why the hatred for Caillou is not ironic or nostalgic. It is personal. It is specific. People watch this thing damage the vibe of their home for months, and they remember it clearly. The legacy, a hate machine, the internet never forgot. The show ended in 2010. And then, the internet discovered it. There is a subreddit with tens of thousands of members dedicated purely to Caillou hatred. Threads with titles like "How should we end this little brat?" Polls about methods, entire comment sections of parents sharing the exact episode that made them snap, fan edits where Caillou finally faces consequences, YouTube videos with millions of views, meme pages, parody accounts, a whole ecosystem of people who cannot let this go. Caillou has become a cultural reference point. When someone throws a tantrum, when someone refuses to hear the word no, when someone acts entitled beyond all reason, the comparison is immediate and universal. You are being Caillou right now. Everybody gets it. Nobody needs it explained. In 2021, the original series was officially canceled. The production company announced a CGI reboot with a more modern sensibility. The internet responded with the enthusiasm of people who had been waiting years to bury this character permanently. Nobody wanted a new Caillou. They wanted the original to be gone. The reboot launched anyway. The new Caillou is apparently slightly better behaved. Reviews were mild. Nobody watched it. Some things cannot be rehabilitated. The closing argument. Look, at the end of the day, Caillou is a 4-year-old cartoon character. He cannot actually hurt anyone. But the reason this show lives rent-free in the heads of an entire generation of parents is because it is not really about Caillou. It is about a fear every parent carries around quietly. The The fear that you are raising a child who is not going to be okay, a child who never learned that other people matter, a child who got so much love and so little structure that they are going to walk out into the world completely unprepared for the fact that the world does not care about their feelings the way their parents did. Caillou's parents loved that kid completely. They never said no. They never enforced a single rule. They apologized to him constantly. And they raised a 4-year-old who was already a nightmare. That is the show's real horror story. Not the tantrums, not the banned episodes. The fact that love without limits does not produce a happy child. It produces Caillou. Nobody wanted to see that in a children's cartoon, and they never forgave it for showing them. If you made it this far, you are my kind of person. Drop a comment with the episode that would have made you throw the remote. Like and subscribe if you want more of this. We dig into the shows and the moments from your childhood that hit different when you look back at them as an adult. See you in the next one.